All right. Well, I am super excited because we have some breaking news, literally breaking news, that I was just sent an email from Printify that told me that there's some big things happening. And that is basically Printify and Printful are going to be merging, Chris. It's pretty exciting because they're both pretty big companies that serve the print on demand market. And I want to kind of just share with everyone exactly what was presented to us. We're going to go through the actual points that they're bringing up that are actually going to be happening, what it means for us print on demand sellers, and why this is pretty exciting. So Chris, I know that we also had an article. Let's go ahead and pull up the article so we can let people see exactly what was announced. And then what we'll do is we'll go through the bullet points here of what is coming and why it's so exciting.
Yeah, let me get that pulled up. I've seen this start to pop up a few different places. I think we saw it on TechCrunch. We've seen it on tech.eu. A few different tech-related websites are reporting on this, but nobody in the print-on-demand e-commerce community has really picked this up yet. Yeah. I think it's kind of an interesting thing, at least for me, Scott, because one of the questions we get all of the time from new sellers is Printful or Printify, right? They're like, which one do I pick? And now the answer is both, neither, the same one, right? There's no choice that you have to make in this anymore because they are going to be coming together. But I think they're doing some interesting things to keep things the way they are, at least for a little while, before they figure out how to make this a bigger and better thing. So that, like you said, the big story that has dropped is that Printful and Printify are merging, right? And it appears that the merger has already been approved. They just haven't gone through with all of the finalized detail yet. And kind of the biggest takeaway is that the merger, right, bringing both of these together is designed to give you better prices and services at a bigger scale, right? That's what Kate from tech.eu is letting us know, is that quick 30-second summary. And there's a couple things that I wanted to point out that we've seen so far, and then I know we've gone back and forth with Printify after we saw this and said, hey, like, can you tell us exactly what this is going to look like? Because press releases and news stories never give you all of the details about what the thought is. And this starts out giving us the background on Printful and Printify, which is kind of cool. They're both kind of tech unicorns, meaning that they've really started to skyrocket in value. But what they are seeing is that they do need to work together. And if you aren't familiar with both of these platforms, really the biggest difference, they're both print-on-demand networks, but Printful has always done stuff in-house, right? If they can't make it, they can't print it themselves, they weren't doing it. Printify was always kind of the opposite of that, right? They said, hey, we'll help you find all of the cool places that can print your stuff on demand. We don't do anything ourselves. We just help connect people who want stuff printed with printers. Bringing these two things together, I think, offers a really cool potential opportunity, not only in terms of the scale of both of these companies, but in terms of the options, right? You're like, I absolutely need it to look this way, which is the reason that sometimes people will end up with something like Printful in place of Printify. So they'll say, hey, I know that everything I order from them is coming from the exact same printer, right? Versus Printify, once you find those printers that you love, you can work with them again and again. You know you're going to get the same result. Bringing both versions of that under one roof, I think, is a really interesting proposition for print-on-demand people. Really what they're saying here, though, is this giant red section, right? They're trying to give people not just that scale, not just the option to go with a third-party service or print something in-house, but to give you better prices, better service, and realistically, more products. Both of these guys have had huge product catalogs. They do have a lot of things that are the same, but they also have a lot of things that are very different in terms of the way that they approach certain product categories. Printify tends to go a little bit broader. Printful tends to go a little bit narrower in terms of, let's just say, sweatshirts, right? Maybe they'll have one or two that they like because they're doing everything in-house versus 20 options or whatever it is on Printify currently. And I think bringing those two things together lets you get the best of both worlds.
Well, and right? I want to just interject there. I think one of the biggest things for people to be excited about is like, this is opening up your catalog. I've always said this, right? When you're doing print on demand, it's great because we don't have to carry any inventory. So if we don't have to carry any inventory and we can add more products that maybe Printify wasn't offering or they were offering, but yet there's more selection now because over at Printful, they have or maybe there's a different over in Printful, they have maybe a little bit of a quicker turnaround time. So then you're like, okay, well, maybe I'm going to go with them on this, but we're going to go with Printify on this. It gives you options. And that's what I'm really, really excited about. And they are two big powerhouses in the print on demand world. And to have this come together is very exciting. Like I said, biggest thing for me is just it opens up your catalog. You get to add more products to your business without having to go out and get more products and actually shelve them and have inventory. So that's always the big thing here for print on demand. But a lot of times it's like the selection. Where do I get more selection? Well, now they're opening up entire catalogs for both audiences. If someone was already using Printful, well, then you're going to get opened up to Printify and vice versa. Let me know in the comments though. What one are you using right now? Are you using Printify? Are you using Printful? Let us know in the comments. We'd be interested to see. And I'm sure Printify and Printful would be curious to see if you're using one or the other or both. Because sometimes people are using both because one had something and the other didn't. So yeah, I'm excited.
Well, I think that's the important part, and of course, it's the very last sentence in this article, right? Which is why I highlighted it. And they're saying, look, in the short term, nothing really is going to change. Both of the platforms and brands are going to continue to operate, and they'll continue to invest in adding product selection and capabilities to benefit sellers, right? Which means, at least in the short term, yes, they are going to be the same parent company, much like your Honda and your Acura, or your Toyota and your Lexus, yeah. Right? They are coming together. They're going to have that same parent company. But they are going to continue to invest in the platforms, both of them, at least in the short term, potentially bringing something together later, which they may have shared a little bit with us on that. We'll find out here in just a second. But I think it's kind of interesting to say, look, they are coming together under one roof, but you can still pick and just use one or the other, or you can play the best of both worlds approach and go, ooh, they have that hockey style sweatshirt that I love over there on Printful or wherever the thing is that you're looking for. Let me grab that from there. Let me grab my t-shirts that I love from Printify, and we'll get rocking and rolling with the designs that I'm creating, which I think is a pretty cool potential opportunity coming down the road.
Yeah, really, really cool. All right, let's do this here. So this actually came from Printify. We've got a really good communication with them. We've been using Printify for years, and they're just great. So to be able to see that these two companies are coming together, it shows me and gives me confidence that they wouldn't be merging with a company that they didn't feel met their criteria. And I know Printify firsthand myself has been amazing. So I think it's gonna be really, really good. So this is what they shared with us. This is what we know right now. This is why we're sharing it with you guys. All right. So why are we so excited? Well, because our merchants get the best of both. And we kind of already said that, right? But you get 85 plus print partners across 117 locations, which is crazy, right? Printful's world-class production facilities, all right? So now they have their own facilities, like you said, Chris, which that's pretty exciting to be able to say, like, okay, yes, on Printify, we're getting connected with providers, which has always been great because you can kind of see the grading system and how people are rating them and how well the deliverability is and all of that stuff. But we're talking Printful's got in-house stuff, which is pretty cool as well. So that's the cool thing, right? We got more cool stuff, more products. We already said that. More innovation. I mean, Chris, what do you think? I mean, what do they mean by more innovation? Do you feel? Do you feel like taking their money and bringing it together allows them to kind of have a little bit more state of the art, kind of bringing things maybe quicker, faster?
Yeah, and I think you also have a little bit of built-in self-competition now, right? Where you're saying, all right, let's red team this. You get to be the good guys, you get to be the bad guys, right? Let's see if this feature works. You get a little bit more of that because you're going to have the teams, theoretically at least, working together. And you have two different models. So they'll be able to say, look, this is something that would only work in the Printful model, but it's still something that's worth pursuing. And maybe Printful didn't have the capital to be able to make the investment that they need to bring that product online. Now that you have the merger of the two, the teams can look at it and say, it's worth it. Let's invest the money in it because you have essentially double the capital coming in and saying, look, this is something that makes sense, or this is something that makes sense more with the Printify model where we're bringing in some people at a lower cost because all we're doing is connecting the buyers with the people who are actually doing the printing. So you get to play in kind of the best of both worlds as whatever this new organization is going to be, right? As Printify, Printful, they get the best of both worlds there, which means the end user also gets the best of both worlds, which is the sellers.
Yeah. And I want to highlight the 1,000+ top quality products at great prices. So yes, like I said, we're opening up the catalog to how many more products that we can add. Now we're not going to sell all 1,000, but we could. But it does allow you to expand your catalog almost overnight, which is really, really cool. And they say there no need to pick the best from one company. Soon you're going to get access to unique products and services that were previously not available on one or of the other platform, which I think is pretty cool.
And I think that's again coming back to the question that we get from new sellers all the time is, do I go with this and limit myself, or do I go with Printify? Right. And the answer is now both, because you don't have to worry about that. You get the advantage of the broader catalog that Printful had and the deeper catalog that Printify had. You don't have to make that choice now, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. And then we have bigger reach, sell to more people in more places in less time, sell in more countries, offer more products with faster delivery. So like I said, like when you're able to then have providers in different various locations, kind of like Amazon has done with warehouses, right? It brings more opportunity for you to sell across, at different places, different locations. So I think that's really cool. All right, let me keep going here. Go after more customer types. All right, you're now going to be able to go after more customer types and address different needs. So again, like we said, that all comes down to products, right? Like and we've talked about this a lot. If you're serving an audience, a niche, you are going to be able to now maybe sell them more products because one company has more, or you can take the two and combine them now and be able to then say, hey, we can go ahead and add these other products. Instead of having 3 products, we've got 5. So I think that's really cool. And that's what they mean by going after different customer types. Your customers care about price and speed of delivery. We got that covered. They want premium and unique products. We got that too. Wide selection of embroidery. Done. So they got embroidery now, which before was kind of, limited on what you could do with embroidery.
Well, and that was something that was kind of a little bit of a leg up, honestly, for Printful. We actually, Scott, had a question about that. They said, I really want Printify, but I want to also embroider stuff. So does that mean I have to add Printful into the shop? Because at that point, Printify wasn't offering anything on that side of things, and Printful does, right? Now we have both of those under one roof in the future, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. The same commitment to your profitability. So again, they are like, by doing this, they want to give us products as low priced as possible, because they know if they do that, we're going to make more. If we make more, we're going to buy more from them. And it's just a win-win for everyone. And that's basically what they're saying right here, is that they want us to grow, right? If we grow, they grow. So it's pretty much common sense, but by doing this, it is going to allow us to hopefully get products even less as far as how much we have to pay for them. So this way here, we can make more profit on the back end.
That was always my argument. Somebody say Printify or Printful, which one? Well, if you want something that, is guaranteed quality all the time, Printful. If you want something that you're going to get the best price on, and once you find somebody, Printify was always the answer to that. And I think having this under one roof gives you that level up of competition, right? Printful, in a lot of cases, was not as price competitive as Printify. Why? Because Printify is built as a marketplace, right? You have people competing against each other and bidding against each other for how much they're going to charge to print a t-shirt or whatever the product is.
Right.
And by adding something like Printful into that mix, you not only have the benefits of all of the things that they do, but you have that additional competition, which should make prices even better for everybody.
Yeah. No, that's super, super important. Okay. Wrapping up, what's next? Well, we can expect to close the deal officially in the next couple of weeks. That was straight from Printify. When it's official, and for the foreseeable future, both Printify and Printful platforms will continue to operate independently, but with one bigger, stronger company behind the scenes. All right. So we'll have to see how it plays out as far as if you have to have 2 separate logins. Like right now, yes, but in the future, we might have something where we have a central dashboard, and then we're able to access either one or the other through maybe a drop-down menu or something like that. But right now, it's early. This is an announcement that just came out. Literally, it's happening as we're recording this. So you guys are hearing it for the first time right here on Brand Creators. So we're so glad that we're being able to bring this to you guys, because again, this is something that we're excited about because obviously print on demand is big for our business, but also we know a lot of our audience is doing print on demand. Chris, anything you want to end with on this before we wrap up?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is short term, not a lot is changing, right? They're coming under one roof. We're going to see what it looks like in terms of the internal competition. Is it going to be a little bit easier to say, okay, this listing is Printify, this listing is Printful? Either way, you're going to end up with all of the resources under one roof, theoretically one team on the back end, even though the platforms are operating independently, which is even better because you're looking at combined customer service resources. You're looking at a lot of those kinds of things. And so I think if you are a print on demand seller, this is a huge opportunity for you. If you're using one or the other, you are going to be a little bit easier, more easily, I guess is probably the phrase that I'm looking for there, tap into the benefits of the other platform without having to give up the things you love about the platform that you're using. And I think this comes at a perfect time, Scott. This comes right on the heels of us having a long conversation about some of the big changes that are coming to some of the marketplaces like Etsy, Amazon, in terms of what's happening with the drop shipping business model. And this opportunity to give people suppliers in multiple regions, to give people more options if you're on the print on demand side of things, or even if you're doing some drop shipping and think that that's what this is called as well, right? Having the ability to say, ooh, I don't want to use that warehouse, or I don't want to use that supplier anymore because that's going to get me hit with extra tariffs or extra import duties or whatever the thing is that is changing. You can now avoid that by looking at the options offered by Printify or potentially flipping that listing over to Printful without having to go through the hoops of saying, well, I don't want to have one listing that's Printful, right?
Exactly. So obviously this is fresh, but what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and link up Printify and Printful in the description. And then any updates that we have in the next week or two, or even the next month, we'll go ahead and we'll update the description. So make sure that you check that out and you'll have the most up-to-date news on this story.